Welcome in, everybody. How you doing? My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Sager of Steven Sager Jewelers. Hope you guys had just a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. And if you're a Phillies fan, it was really good. Then it was like, what the hell? And then it was good again. And then it might have been like, what the hell as well, when the Diamondbacks forget how to play Little League Baseball. It's nice when it's the other team forgetting how to play Little League Baseball. We'll get into that conversation. We'll get into the fact that it got a little, I don't want to say contentious, but I think that's as close as you could get to it. When the Perk was on the old ESPN yesterday talking about James Harden and Doc Rivers, and the same conversation we were having yesterday about Doc Rivers and James Harden, and about how, wow, it seems like now that Doc Rivers is no longer the head coach of James Harden, he is now most ready and has the most ideas about how to coach James Harden. It's funny how that works. And Perk just kind of went off on a situation that we already kind of knew, but with the way he said what he said, and we'll let you hear what he said on today's show, it was the first time I thought, wait a minute, could James Harden be back? Could James Harden possibly be back? And we'll delve back into what Nick Nurse had to say at his introductory press conference about possibly coaching James Harden and all that. Oh, we'll get into that. And then we'll also get into, ladies and gentlemen, to lead off today's show, before we even get into baseball, I can't even believe what I'm about to tell you. There was an unfortunate tragedy on I-95 that we all know. Everyone lives in the Philadelphia area. I think everyone that listens to this show knows about it, because you either still live in this area or you live elsewhere. Hi, everybody. Or, you just got family still in the area. I-95, part of it collapsed just outside of Center City. Well, in Northeast Philadelphia. In Northeast Philadelphia, it collapsed. So I've been following the story, as many of you have, and Governor Shapiro was in town, and he was updating people on it. And two things jumped out to me that I find very fascinating about all this. First off, I've lived all but 3 years of my life in this area. We lived in like Rochester, New York, for preschool and both my years of kindergarten, okay? Moved from Ambler to Rochester for a couple of years, then we were back on I-95 all the time. But anyway, so my whole life has been under construction. I-95 has been under construction. So to hear yesterday that they're going to have the demo done and cleared by tomorrow, meaning today, okay, I'm here for it. Like, that's a challenge that they accepted, and it looks like that's going to be done today. So that's a nice thing. That was a little shocking just to hear that it was going to happen so quickly. The second thing is that they're going to have a live feed so people can watch the progress being made on I-95 South, or I-95 North, excuse me. So people can watch it. That is incredible. We have finally advanced as a society where we can watch the construction on 95 away from being on 95. So now we can have the feeling of being stuck in traffic without being stuck in traffic. This is just beautiful. I remember I used to work with a guy, Phil was his name. We would work behind the scenes for NBC, right? And he was an older gentleman. A lot of us were like in our mid-20s, running around behind the scenes as runners and making sure everyone had their coffee and all that stuff, right? But I remember one night we were out in the Kentucky Derby, and we're going to go out, and we're all going to get hammered. It was like the last night we were all working. We were going to have a great time. We're going to party. It was all going to be on NBC's dime. It was going to be great. And Phil was a bit of an older gent, about 45, 50 years old, right? And he was like, oh, guys, before we go out, you guys got to come to my room and check this out. So we're like, okay. So we go to Phil's room, curious, and he's got a live feed of it's a camera in a tree, zoomed in on these bald eagles in a nest, and somewhere in, I don't know, Idaho or something. And he was just look at this, and we're looking at it. We're like ready. We're already pre-gaming, and we're like, what's going on? And he's like, just watch. And we were like waiting for the American Eagles to like get up and sing like God Bless America or something. And they did it. They just sat there. They just sat there in a nest. And he just sat there watching. My point is, if you're like Phil and you're watching the construction of 95 for anything more than a check-in, I think you got some issues. I think you need to look at the entertainment quality of your life. I think you just need to look at the entertainment quality of life. Now, I am fascinated by the idea that they're going to have live footage of people building 95, but for someone who spent a lot of time on 95, I think I'm good. I think it's innovative. We live in a day and age where you can watch it, but like I said, it's kind of, you can have the thrill of sitting in traffic without having to actually sit in the traffic. You can actually sit in your sofa and watch it. How great is that? But hey, to all the people that are going to be working for a speedy recovery for 95, more power to you. I think people are taking bets. This isn't a joke. I think people are taking bets on how long it's going to take. I don't think. Now, they're going to put in 2 new lanes that are going to be temporary lanes made out of this material that's supposed to be light and still safe and whatever. And they're going to then build the outer 2 lanes, and then they're going to switch it. That's how they're going to do it. But from start to finish, some people are saying 3.5 months. I go 6 months. I think 6 months is how long it's going to take. I will say that Governor Shapiro fella, he was smart in not giving a timeline. He reminded me of like Nick Sirianni talking about somebody's injury. I'm not going to give I'm not going to give a timeline. I can't give a timeline. But his leg fell off and it was running actually away from him while one leg was still attached. Guys, ballpark it. I can't do it for you. I'm sorry. That's what it reminded me of yesterday. So hey, prayers to everyone working on 95. Good vibes to everyone working on 95 because I know it's inconveniencing a lot of people. So best of luck to everyone working on that one. Hey, the Phillies are a 500 baseball team, folks. That's exciting to say. And I have my fun with Rob Thompson. Rob Thompson is a very even-keeled guy. And I brought up many times at the end of last year, he was still the guy saying when they were struggling and they were almost limping into the playoffs, they had already played their best baseball and they still made the playoffs. But when they were just, remember the last couple of weeks of the season, it was a little iffy there. Rob Thompson maintained focus, maintained confidence, saying that, hey, this team is a playoff team. This team is going to the playoffs. And it was just matter of fact. It was just like, pick up tomatoes for me tomorrow at the store, something like that. It's great to have that kind of manager if you're a player because he's not flying off the walls. You can feel, somewhat comfortable, an appropriate amount of comfort under a manager like that, not overly stressed, not gripping the bat too tight, as they say, or gripping the ball too tight, as they say. You can relax. And Rob Thompson has that type of demeanor. He's got that type of foxhole mentality about him where, hey, no matter what's going on around us, everything's going to be fine in here. We got this. That type of mentality. Or as Garrett Stubbs told us last year, that bleep you mentality. Well, there was one thing he said after last night's game, and I'm going to start at the end of this story. And the Phillies win 4-3 in extra innings. And we'll go through the game. Don't worry, but I wanted to jump to this. A thought ran through my head of Rob Thompson at the end of the homestand. So the Phillies go into Arizona, and they had unfortunately had their 6-game winning streak snap when they lost the second game of the 3-game series against the Dodgers. And then they wrap up the series with the Dodgers with a win. And Rob Thompson was asked about the kind of turnaround that his team has gone through. And he talked about his coaches, and he also talked about what the next goal was. Here is Rob Thompson following that Dodgers series 3 games ago, talking about how his team has turned things around.
Our coaches do a great job, and they're talking through situations with these guys all the time. And I think it's just a matter of repetition and, some classroom work, type of thing, I guess. But yeah, we've been playing well for a bit now, so it's good. Now we got to go play a really good team, win on the road. That's our next goal.
Win on the road is what ran through my head after last night's game. Win on the road. That's a good goal to have, considering the Phillies were god-awful on the road. They have been god-awful on the road so far this season. 371 winning percentage on the road going into this series against the Diamondbacks, okay? After the win last night, Rob Thompson is asked about this turnaround yet again and how things are going well for the Phillies. Back to 500 for the first time in a month. And not only that, they've won 8 of their last 10, and they've won 2 games in this series on the road thus far. They'll go for the series win today. But Rob Thompson was asked about, hey, look, you wanted to win on the road. You've already put 2 wins in your back pocket here. You could have very well had 3. Could have been going for the sweep today. And here's Rob Thompson. Again, mild-mannered Rob Thompson winning on the road and being at 500.
It's not where you want to be, but I think given how things have gone the last month, like kind of up and down, you feel pretty good about being.
I do. We've had a pretty good stretch here, and we got to win on the road, and that's on this road trip. That's so far we're over 500. So We just got to keep going. And, you know, like I've always said, the next goal is get 5 over and then 10 over. And, you know, but these guys have been grinding, and now we're back to 500, so that's a good sign.
It's a great sign. And look, they could go back to 500 on the road, on this road trip, in particular with the loss today. Aaron Nola's on the mound. Yee! But you're at least on a good path to achieving your goal of winning on the road. You've won 2. Now win today, hopefully. Right? Win this afternoon. That'd be nice to see you win today. And then you got to face those A's. Well, all of a sudden they're starting to play good baseball. What the hell, man? But my point is, Rob Thompson set out the goal before this road trip. Hey, win on the road. They had not done that. Now they have. They're 2-1 so far in this 4-game series. They'll look to improve to 3-1 before going to Oakland for the last 3 games of this 7-game road trip. As for how this Phillies team played, I can't stress it enough. I absolutely love the way they played on this road trip. I mean, look, a 15-run game, an 8-run game, nearly a 10-run game there, and then they squeeze out a victory yesterday. You didn't think it was going to be easy yesterday, did you? I know going into that 8th inning, my feeling was that Ranger Suarez was so on top of his game, and he's been so on top of his game, that when you got to that 8th inning, and he was at 105 pitches, they took him out, they put in Sir Anthony Dominguez. I just had this gnawing feeling that it wasn't going to be this easy. You're not going to have a 15-3 win and then a 3-0 win that you just ride on a couple of fielder's choice RBIs and 1 solo home run from JT Realmuto, who is absolutely locked in, ladies and gentlemen. You're not just going to have, a great pitching performance, and then you ride a great bullpen performance. It was going to be too easy. And I'm like, that's too easy. There's going to be some drama here. Maybe they escape, but there's going to be some drama. And sure enough, after his 4th consecutive, not good, but phenomenal start by Ranger Suarez, Sir Anthony Dominguez comes in and allows the 3-run home run to Christian Walker. Local boy Christian Walker, Norristown's own. It's a tie ball game at 3-all. Ranger Suarez put a slider in the dirt. And PJ, you can just nod if you agree with me on this, all right? There's no way he wasn't overcompensating. There's no way. He threw a slider in the dirt, and then the next pitch, another slider. I think it was a 2-2 slider to Christian Walker, and he hung it. Don't tell me. Right? Okay, thank you. PJ, former pitcher, agrees. This is a situation where he just completely overcompensated. They don't want to throw it in the dirt again. Hung it up a lot. And Christian Walker just belted it 427 feet into the left field stands with 2 runners on. Oh, my goodness gracious. And there was a tie ball game all of a sudden. Ranger Suarez had gone 7 innings, scoreless baseball, 105 pitches. Over his last 4 starts, he has pitched great, at most allowing 1 run. And at the same time, he has pitched, I think it was 99 pitches, 101 pitches, 103 pitches, and then last night 105 pitches. So coming back from the injury, continues to throw more pitches. And he was at 91 pitches at the start of that 7th inning. And he still cruised. Got a little bit of luck on his side in the late goings of that part of the ball game there. In that 7th inning where he was at 91 pitches to start it off. He got 2 guys to fly out in Pavin and Ahmed. And then, Kelly is the one that struck out on the curveball, 105th pitch of the evening for Ranger Suarez. So he cruised through that inning. It was the previous inning? The previous inning, he allowed a runner on and then got the 5-4-3 double play to get out of it. But he was cruising. You go to Sir Anthony Dominguez to do his job. He didn't do his job. McCarthy immediately gets a double. He walks Perdomo. You have first and second with 2 outs, or so with no outs. Then Rivera goes up there. He pops out to shortstop. And then Gurriel flies out to center field. And then Walker steps up and, hits the 2-2 slider for a 3-run home run, 247 feet. Then try to give Dominguez a chance to get out of it. Longoria goes up there with the single to center. Dominguez out. Soto in. And, the Phillies, you know what happened. It's 3-3 at the end of the 8th inning. 9th inning, Kimbrel comes in, handles his business. And then the 10th inning, the Phillies get a little bit of luck. But I want to stay on Ranger Suarez here for a second. There was one inning in particular that he got out on 3 sinkers, all looking in the inning. And it was a masterclass in that inning for Ranger Suarez. He had his curveball working for him extremely well yesterday, and there was one particular inning where his sinker just had everybody fooled. And it was in the 5th inning, Kelly steps up to the plate and he strikes out looking at that sinker. McCarthy's the next man up. He strikes out looking at that sinker. Perdomo, unfortunately, threw everything off. He did hit a sinker to left field for a base hit. And then he's able to get out of that inning with 1 runner on by getting Rivera to strike out in an 8-pitch at bat, looking at that sinker. One of the sinkers that he threw earlier in the ball game was a great frame job by JT Realmuto, but everything else was just him making things happen. He had 7 strikeouts yesterday in total, and the sinker was working, and the curveball, as the game went on, just looked better and better and better. And as I've talked about before, when Ranger Suarez's first couple of starts coming back from the IL, he did not look like he had control of his changeup, and he did not look like he had control of his curveball. Now that's a totally different story. The last pitch he threw was a curveball, his 105th pitch, and it was to Kelly. And it looked like when it left his hand, it looked like it went 12 feet up in the air, and then it came down and 13 feet and just grazed the dirt as Kelly swung at it wildly. And he had that pitch working beautifully. The sinker and the curve were tremendous pitches yesterday for Ranger Suarez. So we could talk about whether or not the man's back. Not only is the man back, the man has been, him and Taijuan Walker have been your best pitchers as of late. I want to see if Aaron Nola can put back-to-back starts together. And finally, his last outing, no bueno against the LA Dodgers. It was a 9-0 loss. In order to have back-to-back good starts like Zach Wheeler just had, you have to have one good start. So let's build on one. So let's go for 1 in a row today, Aaron Nola. Be like Ranger Suarez. Be like Taijuan Walker. Be like Zach Wheeler. Win this series. Don't just split. Win this series 3 out of 4 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's go for that. JT Realmuto, ladies and gentlemen, is 1,000,000,000% locked in. Watching him against the Arizona Diamondbacks this season has been a joy. He is hitting 400 against Arizona right now after yesterday's game. He's hitting 400 against the Arizona Diamondbacks with 6 RBIs, 2 home runs, 2 triples, 2 doubles. 400 with a 478 on base percentage is what he is doing so far against the Diamondbacks this year. Oh, today's the last game. So far in the month of June, he's hitting 273 with a 319 batting average with 4 home runs. Not too shabby. And then in his last 7 days now, 318 with a 400 on base percentage, 2 dingers. Not too shabby. The last 2 weeks of the season, he has hit 4 home runs. He has 7 altogether on the year. So, yeah, and JT Realmuto is pretty locked in for the Phillies. And last night, not only was he locked in from the plate with that home run that he hit to give the Phillies a 3-0 lead, but he was also locked in behind the plate, whether it was that nice frame he had in the sinker from Ranger Suarez or it was catching Jose Alvarado in that 10th inning. Jose Alvarado, after the game, JT Realmuto was quoted as saying that Jose Alvarado was really amped up in that situation to come in the 10th inning. You had Craig Kimbrell come in the 9th inning. He handled his business. And then you had Jose Alvarado make it a little interesting in the 10th. Let's not forget about the runner you always have on second base now in extra innings. So he's in that situation. He gets out of it, and he was spectacular. Alex Coffey last night tweeted this out. The pitches, in case you missed it last night, Jose Alvarado on TV popped the mitt at 102 miles per hour. Now, as it would turn out, they rounded up. They rounded up a little bit. It was 101.6, 101.6, 101.2, 100.9, 100.9. Official StatCast numbers for what Jose Alvarado was doing out there. I know that the sinker is being referred to more and more as a fastball. I'll say this, you call it whatever hell you want. That pitch looks damn near unhittable if it's anywhere near the strike zone, which oftentimes with Jose Alvarado, it is. And last night in the 10th inning, the Phillies needed to slam the door, and he slammed the door. They were able to get 1 run across the plate. We'll get to that in the top of the 10th inning, but at the bottom of the 10th inning, Gurriel grounds out to Edmundo Sosa at third. Then, unfortunately, he issues a walk to Christian Walker. It was a 3-0 count. He fought it back to 3-2 during an 8-pitch at bat, but did issue the walk. Runner at first and second with one out. Moreno goes up there, pinch hitting for Rojas. Then one of the righty-lefty matchup. He strikes out. Corbin goes up there, Corbin Carroll, and he grounds out to shortstop to end the ball game. It was exciting. Certainly say that it was exciting, but bottom line is what gets me the most is just how electric Jose Alvarado was in last night's win. The other thing that gets me is watching the other team have the low IQ. And in this game in particular, in this series, there's three things. Two of them were last night that stick out. One is the Corbin Carroll, forgetting how many outs were there were, and JT Realmuto scores from third, tags up essentially. They took that RBI away from Cody Clemens, by the way. What the hell, man? But he scores on that particular play, and Corbin Carroll didn't get the start last night, which I did think was interesting. Then in the first inning, the Phillies are getting something going for themselves. In the first inning of last night's game, you have Kyle Schwarber step up, works a walk. Trey Turner works a walk. Nick Castellanos strikes out, and then Bryce Harper hits a fly ball to center, line drive to center field. McCarthy does a great job going back on it. Leafs makes the catch. Runners got to go back to their bags. Trey Turner is retreating back to first. McCarthy throws it in, hits the cutoff man, who then tries to get Turner doubled up off of first base. Christian Walker, local man, isn't paying attention. He is trying to literally tip his cap towards McCarthy for saying, hey, great play. He's not paying attention that the throw is coming from the cutoff man to him and trying to double up Trey Turner. Makes an errant throw. Turner's able to take second. Phillies weren't able to do anything with it. But it was just a bonehead play by the Diamondbacks. Then the ultimate, ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate was in that 10th inning. Top of the 10th inning, Brandon Marsh is on second base for the Phillies in extra innings. Kyle Schwarber steps up. He fouls out to the catcher with one pitch. Turner goes up there. He pops out to shallow right field. Perdomo and McCarthy are going after it. To all the young players out there, if you're the infielder and you don't feel dirt on your cleats anymore and you feel grass, know that it's most likely the outfielder's ball. In this particular instance, this is 1,000% the outfielder's ball. I don't know if there was no communication. I don't know if anyone screamed, I got it, or what? Mine? What? I don't know. But the ball was in the mitt of McCarthy, who was charging in. He collides with Perdomo, drops the ball. Trey Turner takes second. And then you have Brandon Marsh taking third. So now you have a runner on third base with one out. Nick Castellanos steps up there, hits the long fly ball to deep center field, sac fly, RBI. Marsh comes in from third. You take the 4-3 lead. That's all you would need. And the Phillies are able to get a 4-3 victory from last night. Now, the Phillies weren't without any error in this game. There was one play in the ninth inning off the bat of Perdomo, who got a double, hit it in the left center field. After the game, Rob Thompson did admit that it was a catchable ball. He thought Brandon Marsh should have caught that ball. Now, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because Brandon Marsh is so fast that it makes Kyle Schwarber look faster, that he could go to his left more, or faster that he can go to his right, because Marsh was closing that gap quickly. Schwarber stayed on it to the last second, but they still both collide as the ball dropped. Schwarber picks it up, throws it in, but Perdomo had a double in that situation. Fortunately, with two outs, and Kimbrel was able to get out of that one by striking out Rivera with 4 straight fastballs. But it wasn't a smart play by the Phillies either, but this one did not cost them. Last night in the 10th inning, that certainly cost the Diamondbacks, and it's cost them a couple times in this series. Some bad play. It's nice when you watch a Phillies game and you watch the other team make mental mistakes. That's a nice feeling. Makes you feel cozy. Makes you feel comfortable. Today, we'll get to it. 3:40 start time. Phillies are back at it against the Diamondbacks, trying to not just split, but win this series and improve to 1 game over 500. How great would that be? 1 game over 500. Aaron Nola on the hill against Ryan Nelson. We'll get to that more so in our morning rush a little bit later in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, here's where I'm at when it comes to our beloved Philadelphia 76ers. People are referring to it now as a gap year. I'll take the gap year. If you guys have any friends over in Europe, they really enjoy that gap year. I have a friend in South Africa who had a gap year, okay? I'm going to go from high school to college. I'm going to take a gap year. After college, before I get a job, I'm going to take a gap year, okay? The Sixers are going to take a gap year. That's what at least I'd like them to do. And up until yesterday, I was 100% sure that's what I'll say 99.9% sure that's what they were going to do. Have a gap year where they weren't going to sign James Harden. They weren't going to sign or trade for Bradley Beal. They're going to let Tobias Harris's contract expire and see how much you can watch Maxey develop with Joel Embiid and have those two guys as their 1-2 punch and have Tobias Harris back into the sort of big 3, big 2.5. I don't know what you would call it. And see how that would develop. I am still in that realm. I would still go that direction before trading for Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal has 1 year under his belt already of a 5-year deal, so you're still going to be paying him for 4 more years. I'm not sure what you're getting in Bradley Beal. I've talked about trades that are out there for the Sixers. You're not going to make the franchise-altering moves in free agency. Fred VanVleet declined his player option with the Toronto Raptors, so that's even more likely that he'll be here in Philadelphia. That gives me even more reason to think that James Harden won't be here in Philadelphia. But I might be in the minority by embracing the gap year, and I realize that. And quite frankly, I don't care if I'm in the minority. The heart wants what the heart wants, and my heart wants the gap year. I don't know what you're going to be getting in Bradley Beal, so I don't all of a sudden just champion a trade for him. I don't know what you're going to be getting from Nick Nurse in his first year as the 76ers head coach. I don't know what that's going to be yet. But I know one thing I do know is this doesn't end well with James Harden coming back to Philadelphia. And up until yesterday, I was really 99.9% sure that he was not coming back. And then I watched NBA Today yesterday. And I watched Ramona Shelburne, Kendrick Perkins, Brian Windhorst all react to the same stuff that we reacted to yesterday from these quotes from the Ringer podcast, Bill Simmons podcast via the Ringer, where he talked to Doc Rivers, and Doc came off as a guy that was all of a sudden qualified to coach James Harden to the best of his ability. The only problem was Doc Rivers just got fired. And the only problem on top of that is that James Harden most likely got him fired. So you fired Doc Rivers in an attempt to at least somewhat appease a star you're trying to lure back. And let's not mince words about it, okay? Daryl Morey wants James Harden back. I think Daryl Morey is doing whatever he can to make sure that James Harden is back while still keeping the long-term goal of the Sixers to win a championship in mind. I'm sure that he still thinks that James Harden makes them closer to winning a championship. Maybe with Nick Nurse being here as well, that brings him closer to being a champion. I have more confidence in Nick Nurse offensive schemes and mentality than I do Doc Rivers offensive schemes and mentality. Try it with somebody else. If Nick Nurse, and he's come out and spoken about it publicly now, more so about what he's talked about with James Harden, how good of a conversation that was. If this is the case that he does want James Harden back, then I think this is a move that would raise James Harden's eyebrows. Maybe he's not going to get the max deal from the Houston Rockets. Even if he did, it wouldn't be what he would sign here in Philadelphia for 4 years, $210 million. And maybe he decides to not decline the player option. Maybe he decides to stick around and essentially decline the player option now, but sign for more money. Maybe that's the route he goes. I doubt it. I think if you're going into your last contract, you have the opportunity to sign your last big contract in the NBA or any professional sport, you're going to do that. If you really want to win, yeah, then maybe that'll weigh in. But the fact that it's already a debate between staying in Philadelphia or going to Houston, that kind of tells me that it's not all about winning. I mean, I get it. Winning would be awesome. But if you can sign a big fat paycheck for $190 million, $200 million, and that be your last big fat paycheck for a long time, then yeah, I think I'm going to sign that big fat contract. The point is, we listened to Nick Nurse talk about James Harden, and when he was pressed by Howard asking about whether or not you want James Harden back, he said, if James Harden's back, I'm very happy. The first part of the answer, the way Nick Nurse answered it, led you to believe that he didn't want James Harden back. Looking back on it, what if he knows he's fighting a losing battle, Nick Nurse, and he knows he's not going to get James Harden back? He starts off his coaching tenure in Philadelphia with a loss. Do you want James Harden back? Absolutely, I want James Harden back. He's going to be the focal point of my offense. James Harden's going to be amazing. If he says that and then James Harden's like, deuces, I'm signing with Houston for a long-term deal, 4 years, max money I can get as a free agent, then Nick Nurse starts out his coaching career in Philadelphia with a loss. He takes an L in not being able to retain James Harden. Doc Rivers being here wouldn't have kept James Harden. Signing Nick Nurse still doesn't keep James Harden. But then I thought about it like this. What if you really did give your blessing to Nick Nurse as the head coach of the 76ers? What if you're James Harden, you did give that blessing, especially after helping get Doc Rivers fired in Philadelphia? Well, listen to Kendrick Perkins talk about it yesterday as I failed to load that clip, as I build up and ramp up all this. By the way, sorry for the late start today. Later than normal. We had to do a a soft reboot? We had to do a soft reboot on our system. So profound apologies there. Where are you at? Kendrick Perkins was on NBA Today yesterday, and they were speaking with Brian Windhorst. They were speaking with Ramona Shelbourne, and the subject matter was talking about Doc Rivers and the relationship he had with James Harden and how it came to an end, the way it came to an end, and how Doc Rivers' comments that I was flashing up there a second ago about ball movement and James Harden being a great ball handler, but how in the playoffs, that's an easier thing to defend against when one person has the ball for such an extended amount of time. And it also made me start thinking about the comments from Joel Embiid in the playoffs about how he couldn't get the ball in his hands at the end of Game 6. The MVP of the league couldn't get the ball in his hands at the end of Game 6. Well, why is James Harden not fighting the MVP of the league? Well, because James Harden wants the ball in his hands. And when one player has the ball in his hands with the vast majority of the possession, you know how to defend it. And that's what Doc Rivers was talking about with the Ringer, about guys like Steph Curry that move. They get rid of the ball to get the ball back. And that's what makes him so difficult to guard. Well, here it is. Yesterday, NBA Today, Perk talked about Doc Rivers and James Harden.
This is not like Doc to just air out one end.
Let's try that one more time.
This is not like Doc to just air out one individual. And so what I got from it is that basically James Harden cost him his job. And so why would he hold back? And we saw
Kendrick Perkins was talking about Doc Rivers. And his point is that Doc Rivers doesn't just start throwing players under the bus. He doesn't like just all of a sudden get fired or get released from a job or move on and then start just mud raking, right? He doesn't start doing that. He doesn't start mud slinging. So to do this about James Harden was punitive. It was vengeful. It wasn't like he was just making these matter-of-fact statements out of nowhere. James Harden got him fired. He knows James Harden got him fired. So let's unpack that for a second here. If James Harden had the power to get the head coach fired, what would it matter if he wasn't going to be back? Really examining it the way Kendrick Perkins puts it makes my 99.9 for sure rate of James Harden not being back dwindle down to about 85. And it's not just because of Perkins, it's because of the whole philosophy behind it. If you're going into detail about how a coach got fired and it's all coming back to James Harden and how Joel Embiid wasn't 100% on board with it, but they pulled the trigger on it anyway, Well, then that means that a guy that maybe doesn't even come back here has sway in the front office that much. It's either a Hail Mary from Daryl Morey in order to retain his buddy James Harden, or it means nothing. Or it means nothing. Or it means that James Harden's mind's already made up and he's going back to Houston. But as now other reports have come out there, he's weighing his options, and Nick Nurse might be intriguing to him as the head basketball coach now in Philadelphia. But I don't know in a more up-tempo offense how James Harden handles that idea or handles that philosophy that Doc Rivers is talking about, because Nick Nurse is going to need him to abandon the basketball every once in a while. And maybe he's going to have to rely on a guy like Tyrese Maxey handling and running the offense a little bit more. To me, it just doesn't make sense. To me, I feel like I already know the ending. With Maxey coming in here, you might still be a second-round playoff exit. But I also might see Tyrese Maxey take a huge step forward that will make me believe, oh, my God, in a year from now, meaning a year at the end, from the end of next season. So fast-forwarding 2 years, I might have the confidence after the upcoming season that, oh, wow, Joel Embiid's playing a little bit more as a facilitator. He's not looking to score as much. He's setting up his teammates. There's multiple ways to beat you now in half-court sets like you'll need in the playoffs. And Tyrese Maxey's taking this huge leap forward. Oh, my God, Tyrese Maxey's an all-star. Oh, my God. If all that happens, yeah, I'm welcoming this gap year. And that's why when it comes to, if you're asking me about retaining James Harden, trading for Bradley Beal, or gap year with Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris still here in Philadelphia, supporting Joel Embiid and Nick Nurse as your head coach, bring option 3. No thank you to James Harden. No thank you to Bradley Beal. Ride it as it is. And you make other acquisitions still. Yeah, you try to improve your roster. You try to bring in a guy like Fred VanVleet, who I think is all but destined for Philadelphia now. But I still think there's a lot of interesting plays in here for the 76ers. PJ, do I try it one more time with Perk? Let's go. You know what? We went through the trouble. Here we go.
This is not like Doc to just air out one individual. And so what I got from it is that basically James Harden cost him his job. And so why would he hold back? Yep. And we saw in Game 7 what happened with James Harden. He quit.
Yep.
He quit. He quit on Doc Rivers in Game 7. He wasn't even looking to attack the basket. And here's the problem that I have with James. And people can say what they want about Doc, but Doc made it possible to pull together and make Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen sacrifice to win the championship. And that's why he was bought to Philly.
There we go. We did it, everybody. We played the clip. Yeah. Anyway, I think he's dead on. And I know Perkins has become a rather controversial figure, and I get that. But as far as that goes, I think he's dead on. Dead on, balls accurate, as a matter of fact. So I tell all you that to tell you this. I am now considering it more likely than ever that James Harden does return. That James Harden does return to Philadelphia to play with the Sixers. I'm still not. I still think it's 85% not going to happen. But that's down from 99.9. So, damn it. Let's move on and talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. As you guys know, they concluded OTAs last week, and because of the smoke, it was cut a little bit more than normal. Last year, they did not have extended OTAs. Right now, they're the only one of two, I believe, NFL teams that don't have mandatory OTAs. I would have thought this year they would have had some sort of mandatory OTA, considering Brian Johnson is your new new offensive coordinator and play caller. And I also thought that you would have maybe extended OTAs, maybe a mandatory OTA, because you also have Sean Desai, who is only a one-time defensive coordinator. He's now your defensive coordinator, his first time with the team. But this method last year got you to a Super Bowl. The only thing that's different is that last year you had your defensive and offensive coordinators returning. You don't have that this year. That's worrisome. Now, your wide receiving core is without question on the same page because they played a full year together, so that's comforting. You didn't have that with A.J. Brown coming in last year, and of course you had already known that A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts already had a great friendship, and they had thrown together in the offseason, which is great. But you have a lot of new pieces on the defense here that need some getting used to about being starters and possibly being captains and being the leader of a defense like Nakobe Dean as your middle linebacker with the green dot. I know it's not. This isn't. I know a lot of people will default to the old school versus new school mentality about not being tough enough at practice. And I think it was Ed Kratz of Sports Illustrated. I was reading his article, and I agree with a lot of his points. That when you talk about this team or the NFL in general, you're talking about getting too soft. But it's the players that argue for that softness. So you're giving them what they want. If you're a head coach and you have the opportunity here to do a mandatory OTA and you got a lot of new moving parts here on this team in general, whether it's your coaching staff in new positions or new coaches in general, and new players taking on new responsibilities. Sidney Brown might be your starting safety next to Reed Blankenship. That's not exactly a very experienced secondary or safety position, at least. Nakobe Dean is going to be taking the reins as the leader of your defense in the middle of that line, or the middle of your linebacking core. Nolan Smith going to be out there as an edge rusher for you. Jordan Davis taking a step forward. This is going to be Jalen Carter coming in, playing a big role on your defensive line. There's a lot of new pieces here that I'd like to see get their feet wet. I mean, at least you knew who your starters were going to be in the middle of the defensive line with Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox last year. And that wasn't the first time they were together either. It was a couple years with them. It didn't bother me as much last year. This year it bothers me. And it's not a softness thing. It's not, they always got to be working hard and all that stuff. It's just like a familiarity thing right now with this team. Didn't bother me last year. This year it bothers me. And I know you could say, well, you were in a Super Bowl last year. Nick Sirianni knows what he's doing. Yeah, you know what? I think he does know what he's doing. Do the other guys know what they're doing? Because I'm not concerned about Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni is returning in the same role, including not calling plays. I want Brian Johnson to have as much play calling experience as possible. Now, before I get to our sponsors, and before I get to our lovely chat check where we get to catch up and kibitz a little bit, everybody, I have a little bit of an announcement to make, guys. I am making my return to the NRG charity flag football game this year. I played once before. I've played twice before. I'm a one-time champion under the tutelage of my old colleague there, Trey Thomas. But yeah, they flashed it up there yesterday. They were having me in, and they called me the Cannon. I think if only there was footage of why they called me the Cannon. Oh wait. Oh, did you see that? For the people on the podcast, I'll just give you a play-by-play. Kyle Scott, then of Crossing Broad, founder of Crossing Broad, takes the snap, tosses to Farzetta, who's running the option play, throws a deep bomb down the field. He's got Crockett on air. Touchdown! I forget what team we were representing last year, but let's just do it one more time. Why not? Just look at it. Just watching that, you don't look at me and go, that guy only played 1 year of freshman football for Archbishop Wood before they were good at football? No way. Wait a minute. He was a backup quarterback for one game freshman year of high school? That guy is at least All-America. All-America college. Look at that throw. The pass rush was in my face too, folks. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it all out here. If my flag gets ripped, it's going to be at the cost of a touchdown. I don't care. If I'm going to let it rip right before they grab my flag, I had to let it rip. Dave Spadero with the play-by-play, by the way. Today, I will be at the NovaCare Complex trying to make a triumphant return to the NRG charity game. The charity I will be supporting is Phil Abundance. So make your donations at Phil Abundance, people. There you go. Let me tell you about the great people at Steven Singer. Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. When it comes to a real jewelry expert, go to Steven Singer Jewelers. You'll get treated like a real family member at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. How about the amazing people at Manscaped? Manscaped.com, the leader in below-the-waist grooming. Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with confidence. Well, with their skin-safe technology, with their confidence and comfort. Go to manscaped.com, use promo code FARZY for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. You'll love their Platinum Package 4.0, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which does have skin-safe technology that helps you reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So go to manscaped.com, use promo code FARZY for 20% off and free shipping. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll love their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks into their chart-topping 24.1%. And Super CBD, which is half into Kush. Jeez, a little mic difficulty there. They grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State. So, hey, buy local, folks. Freestone Farm CBD, FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Use promo code FARZY for 20% off. How about the amazing people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing on this fine morning. I'm going to start it over at the Jacob Media YouTube channel. The Seans are over here meeting. Sean Kilrain, Sean Gillespie, what's going on? Good morning, everybody. JT Realmuto is a man on fire. I'm hoping he keeps this through the month of June. Let's go fighting with a PH. Sean Kilrain, I work in Port Richmond. I'm good with not watching the poop show. I'm loving it. Not. Sean, phenomenal job on not joke right there. Sean Gillespie, damn Duck Rivers. All those blown playoff leads, never takes responsibility. And yes, he wasn't the only reason the Sixers lost. Very true. Sean Gillespie goes on to say, Harden just doesn't have it for a long playoff run anymore. I concur. How about I'm going to speak crudely for a second here. How about the balls on you, Doc Rivers? How about the cojones, okay? How about the Pelini, okay? On Doc Rivers, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about, I wish I would have had James Harden younger. That's another thing that jumped out at me about that interview. I wish I would have had him younger. Mike D'Antoni had him younger, and he got him playing his best basketball of his career. And I'm not a big Mike D'Antoni fan, but they did well together. They did well together while in Houston. Whatever. But yeah, how about the comments? Dan Schwartz, what's going on? Go Sixers. Hey, what's happening there? Sean Gillespie, in both chats, you both chat double dipping SOB. How are you? Both years of kindergarten, I still say it's ridiculous. Yeah, both my years of kindergarten. Miss Condon. If you guys don't know the story, I'll tell you the story. First year of kindergarten. I didn't know at the time it was my first year. I thought it was just going to be, kindergarten like all the other kids. Miss Condon came around, and I don't have cardboard down here, but she had a piece of cardboard. Like it was about that big. All right. And there was like a shoe. PJ, have I told you this story? There was a shoe drawn on the piece of cardboard. And there was two pieces of yarn shooting up where the shoelaces would be on the piece of cardboard. Miss Condon came around. She put her hand on the cardboard, and you had to tie the laces. You essentially had to tie the laces of the shoe around her hand. Now that I look back on it, it was kind of weird, but hey, that was 80s education, people. All right. This is 1986, 87, maybe. And I'll never forget, it was a circle at St. John the Baptist in Rochester, New York. And she comes around, she puts the thing in front of me, or the thing in front of the kid next to me, and the kid's like, no problem. That was a kid that could already read really well in kindergarten. And I don't read so good. Anyway, he does it, no problem. And then she comes over to me, and she goes, all right, Mark, would you like to give it a whirl? And I'm like, oh, God. And my shoes were probably Velcro until high school. Anyway, I go, and I'm like, and I'll never forget this sound. This sound came out of Miss Condon's mouth. She goes, okay. And then she wrote something on a clipboard. And I remember thinking, oh, I'll be back here next year. I don't know. I didn't even know if it was possible to do that, but I'm like, I think everybody's leaving in 2 weeks. I think I'll be back here in 3 months. And I was. I doubt that was the exact reason, but that's the moment I draw. That's the line in the sand moment between, oh, this kid's an idiot, to this kid's going places, man. This kid's going on to first grade with you. No, they were like, why don't you hold your horses there, son? Learn how to tie your shoes. Dan Schwartz, laugh my ass off. I will 95 will be back to 2 lanes, open at Cottman Avenue, moving 10 miles per hour before you know it. I hope so. T-Bro, that camera's going to have to set up the camera again at 95. You mean watch 90% of the workers watch one guy work? Hey, somebody's got to hold the flashlight. 20 people need to hold the flashlight. I do love the memes that have come up over the years about how we should all be like 95, constantly working on ourselves. But T-Bro, what's going on? Watching one man work with a jackhammer. That's right. T-Bro, 3 months. 95 has been under construction for my entire life. I know. I'm right there with you. Dan Schwartz, Revive 95 Part 2. Oh, my God. Dan, phenomenal. Part 1 was a cliffhanger. Yeah, I still don't know the ending. King DV Sports. Great win yesterday. Phillies ring the bell. Damn right. What's up, Farzy? What's up, King? How you doing? Sean Gillespie. Nola is on the mound today. So scared. Just like him. Just like him, unfortunately. Sean, I like him as well. I root for the guy. Thank you. PJ saying you don't come back with the slider. They did ask Rob Thompson about the slider that was hit out from Sir Anthony Dominguez. He gave the slider. He threw the slider originally, bounced it, wild pitch, runners advanced. Then he hung the slider when he went back to it. Rob Thompson was saying he would like to believe that the first slider wasn't in Sir Anthony Dominguez's head. But here's what I do know. The second slider was no longer in the ballpark. Anyway. Dan Schwartz, I guess I would take Beal. Not excited about it, but there's 3 players that I do not want and will boycott the team if I see anyone court them. Harden, Kyrie, and Westbrook. I agree with Westbrook, and I agree with Kyrie. Harden, I don't want him back, but I'm not boycotting the team. With Harden, there'd be at least a curiosity like, okay, this is it's not even a triumvirate, it's a quadumvirate, I guess, where this is obviously Daryl Morey approved. Obviously, this is a Joel Embiid approved move. Obviously, the move is approved by Nick Nurse because he chose to be here. And obviously, it would be approved by James Harden. So that's the 4 minds working together for the 76ers that all think this is a good idea. So maybe James Harden would be reached by Nick Nurse. Maybe Nick Nurse does figure out how to run the offense with James Harden appropriately and Maxey appropriately. And when I say appropriately, I mean for the playoffs. For the playoffs. And maybe you're going to have a different style of Joel Embiid. Maybe. I'll cross on my fingers. Mihai Sanchez, 500 never felt so good. I turned it off in the top of the 9th inning, but come on, Sir Anthony. All that for Ranger, no, not to get the win. He's gotten 1 win in his last 4 starts where he's gone at least 6 innings, allowing 1 run. 1 win to show for it. Dan Schwartz, damn, should have waited to take my bets until after the show. I didn't know JT's numbers were so good against the Diamondbacks. I mean, D-back. You did say D-backs. Yes. D-backs. I bet the Phillies win parlayed with Harper 2 hits. April! Good morning, April. PJ saying he loves Schwarber and all, but his defense is just terrible to watch. Yesterday, Bryce Harper was thrown in the outfield. That can't come soon enough, folks. When Bryce Harper is able to play in the field and Kyle Schwarber becomes a full-time DH, I will bask in that glory. Can't wait for that to happen. Dan Schwartz, yeah, Mihai sucks for Ranger, but he doesn't care about the win. All he cares about is his butt. What? Wait, that's Harden. My bad. I got confused. Dan, I don't even know where you're going with that, but I assume if you're saying butt and Harden in the same sentence, you're talking about strip clubs. April, what's going on? Watching Schwarbs run out there makes me think of Burl. It does give you Burl vibes, man. Oh, does it give you Burl vibes? Sean Kilrain, good morning, guys. What's up, Sean? I see you over here as well. Dan Schwartz. Dan Schwartz. So with you, Mark, on the gap year, the thought actually warms my heart. Well, there you go. Mally, good morning. Hey, Mally, what's up, Mally? Dan Schwartz, James does not realize that the easiest way to get daydream. If he's going anywhere, he's going to Sin City, folks. Go to Sin City. Have yourselves a good time. Great happy hours, folks. A little thing called Butts and Burgers. Huh? Anyway, let me emphasize. Butts and burgers. Just so there's no, you say it fast. It could mean something totally different. But anyway, yeah. Dan Schwartz saying hi to Mally. Mally saying hi to Dan Schwartz. Everyone saying hi to Tyvina. Oh, my goodness gracious. We got April. We got Mally. We got Tyvina. We got Sean Gillespie. We got Dan Schwartz. Oh, it's a party. What's going on? Some of the OGs in here. Tyvina, good morning. Sean Gillespie. Duck constantly makes excuses. Every team he goes to, blown playoff leads. He doesn't acknowledge this or redeems himself with each team he goes to. I concur. Dan Schwartz. You can keep trying to play the Perkins video, Mark. You can never try too hard when the audio contains trashing James Harden. It's almost as good as listening to Simmons be trashed. You're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's see. April saw the video of that throw yesterday that I posted. Yep. Ooh, Sean Gillespie's nervous. Sean Gillespie is nervous about Brian Johnson taking over play calling responsibilities. April saw the throw. Thank you to Dan Schwartz. Whoa! You got to go against Devin. She don't play games. Yet again, just finding out about the cannon really changes things. Definitely got to make a photo of the cannon. Just getting loose. Just getting loose. And yes, Devin will be playing today. I saw that she was playing my good friend Devin Caney. Wood got better at football. Really. Yes, April. I mean, Wood got great at football before. Let's see. I played freshman year. We were 5. What were we? 5-3-1? 5-4-1? I don't remember, but we had like 25 kids play. Most kids were playing both sides of the football. I played safety and a little bit of tight end. Yeah. Anyway, and backup quarterback for one game. I didn't play in the game as a quarterback. I totally didn't take screenshots of the cannon. You didn't? I mean, Dan Schwartz, what? You didn't take screenshots of the cannon? I mean, you can see it on my Twitter feed, or I could just. Yeah, what happened on that play? Okay, so what happened on the play is I got the toss from Kyle Scott. It was a great toss, hit me right in the chest there. It was like a Philly special kind of toss where you knew something special was going to happen after it. And I just saw my man deep. I had a check down from Mina Say What from the radio. I didn't want to go for the check down. It was all or nothing right there on that play. We needed a touchdown. And credit to Crockett for getting behind the defense. And I just threw it up there, and he went and got it, man. That's how you got to trust your receivers. All right. There was no press conference after the championship. There should have been, because should have made headlines. Good friend Crystal Rich, by the way. Good friend Crystal Rich. She was a little bitter about it. I think she remains bitter, as a matter of fact. I got to get her on the program, talk a little Sixers with her. So, Dan, I hope you got screenshots of it. If not, it is on my Twitter feed. Anyway. Dan Schwartz. No, her name was not Miss Condam. It was Miss Condon. I guess I can't boycott the team if Harden is back, since he is Maury's son and oddly enough his daddy too. April, I'm an H&H alum. Can't root for Wood. I also dated a guy from there, and he was a total D-bag. From Wood? No, we're all gentlemen. DM me, April. What was his name? But, yeah, Happy Earl Horsham. The pride. Happy Earl Horsham. I had my greatest shot put throw there at Happy Earl Horsham, because that's where the regional championships were. Yep, that's right. 8th grade, best put of the shot. No big deal. No big deal. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great. As per usual, let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Phillies at it today against the Diamondbacks. 3:40 start time this afternoon. Aaron Nola against Ryan Nelson. Aaron Nola got shellacked in his last start. Previously on Nola, he went up against the Detroit Tigers and took a no-hitter into the 7th inning, only to have it blown, but he still got the win as they beat the Detroit Tigers 8-3. 7 innings of 0 earned runs from Aaron Nola. Then he went up against the Dodgers in the latest installment of Nola. 9-0 Phillies loss. He went 6 1/3, allowing 6 runs on 7 hits, including a home run, and issued 2 walks. Wah, wah. As for his counterpart today, Ryan Nelson getting the start there for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's 3-3 on the season with a 4.95 ERA. He is coming off a start against those Detroit Tigers as well, by the way. He pitched well against them because they suck. 5 2/3, 0 runs, 4 hits. Previous to that, he had allowed 8 runs in his last 2 starts, one against the Colorado Rockies. That was at home. It was in Arizona. And the other was at home as well to the Atlanta Braves. And that one was 4 2/3, 3 runs on 6 hits, 4 walks issued. So, Phil's, be a little patient today in the batter's box. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, perfect price. All online at stevensinger.com. Oh, T-Bro's driving by Wood. Tell him I said what's up. Dan, I'm not reading those final 2 comments. Thanks, everybody in the Farzy Show chat. Thanks to everybody over there in the Jacob Media chat as well. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Be back with you guys later today on the Phillies post-game show on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. And then I'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning as well for a Friday edition of the Farzy Show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Jim Hyde produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. Be back with you guys tomorrow. But before I leave, just... See target, hit target, touchdown. Have a great day, everybody. See you later. Bye.